Hello, my name is Tom Meyer, and I'll be your mediator here today. If this is your first time mediating, let me say it's very normal to come into the room with doubt, skepticism, and perhaps a very, very low expectation as to what might be accomplished when you consider that I am not a judge and that I will not be making any rulings or determinations about who's obligated to pay or recover anything as a result of what we discuss here today. Most people would rather simply avoid mediation and continue to pursue their case and get to trial. However, most people are also engaging in that strategy without knowledge of the facts. And the most important fact that most people are not aware of is that the overwhelming majority of lawsuits, meaning over 90% of the lawsuits filed throughout the United States, never get to trial and end up out of court. It's just a fact that somewhere along the way, most litigants find a better way to resolve their dispute and have to take it out of court. It's my job today to see if we could come up with a better resolution for you to also take your dispute out of court. You come into mediation with a clean slate. You are not bound to follow previous positions or events that might have occurred in the lawsuit, and you are not limited to demand or offer things in line with whatever the specific laws might allow you to recover should you go to trial. You are free to negotiate for whatever you think is most important and what you want the most. And if both sides can agree to those terms, it's my job and to work with you to draft a legally binding settlement to incorporate those terms. And I can tell you that in many mediations, the final agreement actually could entitle the party to recover more or pay less, depending which side you're on, than would otherwise have occurred had these parties gone to trial. I believe in mediation. I've seen it work time and time again. In my career, I've been in court as both a lawyer and a party in several jurisdictions, and can always say that in the end, it's always better for people to find a way to resolve their conflicts at a court. What I do as a mediator is several things. Two most important things that I will do for you is to help you communicate and help you to negotiate. And the process that mediation that provides here is specifically designed to help me help you communicate and negotiate better to see if we can creatively get together with one or more proposals that might be acceptable to both sides. Although I am a lawyer, I am not allowed and will not give you legal advice. If you're represented by counsel, please look to them for any questions you might have about the law. If you're not represented by counsel here today, that's okay. You don't need a lawyer to mediate. If we should get to a point where you do have a legal question and I think it impacts your decision making, I will pause the proceeding and give you an opportunity to consult with a lawyer. And if at the end of the day we've reached an agreement or a proposed agreement that might need to be signed, I will afford you the opportunity to speak with a lawyer first to make sure that you fully understand what you're signing. Sometimes sitting in a mediation, listening to me do my job, will require some patience, because quite often you will find me slowing things down quite a bit. Someone might say something, I might ask them to repeat it, I might repeat it, all done with the sole purpose of making sure that I understand what's being said, I can explain what's being said, and everyone else listening understands what's being said so that nothing gets lost in translation. This all requires patience. If at any time you find yourself losing patience during the day, then I would ask you to please take a step back and put this mediation process in perspective, meaning that This is a small investment of your time within a huge lawsuit that you have filed or are defending against that you've probably already invested months, if not years of your life and thousands of dollars. All I'm asking is a few hours with the possible chance of coming to an agreement to resolve the case and letting you leave here with a binding settlement to dismiss the case and get on with your life. I can tell you that I don't know any of you folks here today. I've met you for the first time, and I have no knowledge or connection to this dispute. And as such, I believe I can be neutral and impartial to treat both sides equally. And that's a very, very important part to the mediation process, to make sure you both feel comfortable that I am treating you fairly and equally. If at any point you feel that I'm not treating you equally, or perhaps I'm spending too much time with one side or the other, please let me know immediately, and I'll attempt to address your concerns. If I can't satisfy your concerns, I will then give you every opportunity to find another mediator. At this time, I'd like to go around the table to see who is here today, make some brief introductions, make sure everyone knows everyone, and specifically make sure we have all the parties to the lawsuit present, and that all the parties that are here did come into the room with full settlement authority to either make offers or respond to offers. Mediation is not a timed event. A lot of people say, well, how long will I have to stay here today? I can't tell you. It's my determination how long we will continue to mediate. I can tell you that I will continue to work until I feel that we've either reached an agreement or we fully explored all the potential options and unable to reach an agreement. That may be an hour, that may be 2 hours, or it may be more. So I would like to ask everyone in the room up front whether or not they have any commitments later today which might in any way restrict or limit the time they could spend in mediation. If you do, I will ask you to please now notify me and contact to cancel those appointments. If you're unable to cancel appointments you might have later today, then we may simply choose to reschedule this mediation when you have more time. I do like to ask a lot of questions, and the more comfortable and willing people are to share information and answer my questions, I think the better chance we will have at coming up with one or more workable solutions to this case. To make you more comfortable, I can assure you that the laws of Florida provide that whatever you say in mediation is confidential and may not be disclosed outside this room except as required or permitted by law, or unless you approve otherwise. Now, right now we're meeting together in one room. However, it's very common for at some point, one or more times during the day, I will want to meet with one side separately to give each side some additional privacy, especially when we get into the negotiation process, and that's called caucus. All designed to make you comfortable to be willing to share the information that I'm going to need to come up with one or more workable solutions for you here today. Let's talk a little bit about compromise. No one likes to come into a mediation and have to give up on anything. But the reality is, to settle a complicated lawsuit, usually something has to give. I won't ask you to give up on anything that you don't want to give up on. But I will ask both sides to be willing to engage in a critical discussion with me to go over their case. Now, we'll do that confidentially, and we'll probably do it in caucus privately with just our side without the presence of the other side. But I will want to look at to see if there is things in your case that you might be demanding that maybe you don't have good documentation or proof, that might not be well-founded and well-supported by laws, or otherwise be tough for you to prove at trial. And for those items, I will ask you to consider whether or not you could make some adjustments. Some people can come to grips with that, some people not. Personal choice, up to you. One thing I will say is the fact that you're having to consider doing this is not the fault of the mediation process. Don't shoot the messenger. We're only here shining light on these things so you can make a more informed decision on getting out of this lawsuit with the best possible result. The problems you might have in your case didn't result today, but they resulted from perhaps lack of planning or foresight back in the beginning, where maybe you didn't have a contract to back up what you're seeking to recover, or maybe the contract wasn't clear. The fact is that most people don't look ahead to think about what happens if something goes wrong in this transaction. When they don't have that discussion back then, if something does go wrong, they usually are faced with more difficult time enforcing what they have. So problems didn't arise today. They happened in the very beginning. So compromise is important, but understand, in the end of the day, it's your choice. All I'm asking is, please, let's have a critical discussion to see what's out there, whether there is something that I can work with that might be less valuable to you that we can use in the negotiation process. I do have a couple of rules of conduct that I will be enforcing throughout the day. When anyone is speaking, please do not interrupt. I know it can be difficult to sit back and listen to someone say something that you don't agree with, or that may be misleading, or that you believe is simply untrue. Bite your tongue and wait till they are finished. I promise I will give you an opportunity to then respond, and when you do respond, please do it with respect. I will not tolerate any shouting, no personal attacks, and no profanities. So please, one person speaks at a time. Please don't interrupt, and whenever you do speak, please speak with respect. Let me conclude my comments by highlighting that mediation is truly your proceeding. And one of the fundamental benefits of it is it really allows the parties to retain control of their disputes. And it might be one of your last opportunities to do that. The official term for it is self-determination. I also like to call it freedom of contract, or freedom to resolve your disputes. Because there will come a time, the closer you get to trial, if you should ever reach that point, as we said, that's pretty rare, but the further along a case gets, the less opportunities you'll have to maintain your self-determination. So to have that power here today and be able to exercise it with all the parties in one room, outside of a courtroom, with someone like myself that's been specially trained to help with the communications, in a confidential setting without fear of things being used against you, that's a pretty rare package to have. And so I would encourage everyone to take full advantage of it, and you have my commitment to do my best to see if we can indeed reach an agreement to resolve your lawsuit today, once and for all. Thank you very much.